So today's class, we called it Facing Yourself. I want to mention a story, someone who was a very poor man, a very, very nice person, would always have guests at his house and so on and so forth. A story that happened during the time of Baal Shem Tov, and 300-400 years ago in the old country, as we say. And he was amazing in welcoming guests, even though he had so little. And he would always help whoever needed help and so on and so forth, give tzedakah, the little that he had. And won't go into all the incident. One time, a tzaddik, a great tzaddik came to him. I don't remember if it was the Baal Shem Tov or another tzaddik came over to him, and he saw how he tried so hard to help other people, to feed, to give from his last piece of bread that he had to share with other people. He gave him a very, very special blessing, and he gave him a bracha that he should be very wealthy and he should be able to do a lot of goodness and kindness from wealth, from a lot, not from misery. And Baruch Hashem, the tzaddik's blessing was fulfilled, and he, whatever the business the Rebbe told him to do, went amazing, more and more and more, and he became an extremely wealthy man. Big house and servants and the whole thing. But unfortunately, something happened. And when he became so wealthy, instead of sharing everything that he had, something happened to his heart. And he stopped. He had servants. He had, fields, lots of stuff, beautiful mansion, and the people didn't know what happened. They would come to knock at his door to ask for tzedakah, and the servants would answer, and they would say, "Oh, we want to speak to the owner." No, he's busy, we can't. And nobody was able to get through to him. It was very sad, extremely sad, because here Hashem gave you such a big blessing, and here all of a sudden you forgot to share. One day, the Rebbe that gave him the blessing comes to that town, and as he comes, he goes to shul and so on, speaks to the people. They're asking, "What about this and this fellow?" And they said, "Yeah, Rebbe, he still lives here, but he really changed." So what do you mean he changed? He became so wealthy, but he changed, and he just not the same person that he was. What do you mean? He doesn't share? His house is not as open as it was? Rebbe, what do you mean it's not as open? It's not open at all. Nobody can get through to him. He was so hospitable. He was so amazing. He helped, he cared, he would cook himself. He would go after people that needed help, go put in their house money or food without them knowing that he did it. He was such an amazing person. He changed. The money really changed him. And the Rebbe was very upset, obviously, very disturbed. And he said, "I want to go see him." And they said, "Well, you can't even get through to him because there's so many guards at the door, and they ask you what you want and they won't let you in." And the Rebbe said, "Well, tell me his address." And the Rebbe comes to the house, and the guards open, so on. And he told the guards, "I'm not moving from here. Go tell your owner that this and this rabbi is here, and he's here to see your master. And you must give him that message, and I'm waiting outside for you." They saw there was an older man. They felt his holiness. They went. They couldn't say no. And they told the owner. When the owner heard, he started shaking, and he said, "Wow, the Rebbe is probably coming to take my money away because he gave me the blessing quite a few years ago, and now he's probably coming to take the money back. He's coming to take my wealth away. I've got to go speak to him." He went out. He told Rebbe, "See, you gave me a blessing. Look, I have so much wealth. Look at the house. Look at the beautiful rooms. Come in, come. What do you want to eat? What do you want to drink?" He says, "Thank you. I don't want anything. I just want to come in, and I want to see your home." So they're coming in, and he says, show me your house. And then he comes, there's one living room, another living room, a dining room, beautiful paintings, pictures, furniture, dishes, the whole thing, silver candlesticks, silver, everything is beautiful, really, really, as very wealthy people would have. And then the Rebbe comes, and the Rebbe looks at the mirror, and he tells him, what is this? And he says, oh, Rebbe, you don't know, it's a mirror. He said, what is the mirror made out of? He said, it's made out of glass. The Rebbe says, fine. And the Rebbe points at the window. He says, what is this? He says, yeah, this beautiful windows. What is this made out of? Glass. So he says, so what's the difference? This is glass. This is glass. This is see-through. This is like what's... He says, oh, the mirror. The man started smiling. He thought the Rebbe doesn't understand and doesn't know the technology. But he said, well, the mirror, you have silver behind it. So it becomes a mirror, has a coating. So the glass, you can see through, becomes a mirror, you see yourself. The plain glass, it's a window, you see through. So the Rebbe said, oh, I see. So when something is very simple and plain, like the window, just glass, you can see through. So he tells to the owner, to the wealthy man, he says, let's call him Rabbi Yankel. He said, Rabbi Yankel, who do you see outside through the windows? He says, oh, hello, Jeanette.
Hi.
Hi, sorry you missed the beginning of the class, but you'll be able to listen to the beginning of the story.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. He says, oh, through the window, oh, I see Dvosha, the lady, the widow, going to somebody's house to clean, to get some groschen, to get some pennies for her job. Oh, I see the Moshe, the water carrier. Oh, I see. He was telling him all the people from the city that he knew, even though he didn't give them money for a while, but he knew their names. He knew who they were because they used to come to him. So he was telling the Rebbe all the names, all the people that he can see through his window. So then the Rebbe said, okay, now come to the mirror. And who do you see now? So he looks, he says, oh, I see myself. So the Rebbe said, oh, and I get goosebumps, girls, every time I think about this story, a true story. The Rebbe said, oh, I see. When things are simple, when things are not coated with silver and with gold, you see other people. But when it becomes coated with gold and silver, you see only yourself. And Rabbi Yankel became so ashamed and so embarrassed. He put his eyes down and he said, Rebbe, forgive me. I have realized what I have done. That's right. When I had very little, when my house did not have gold and silver, everything was like a glass. I was able to see through. I was able to see the pain of the widow and of the orphan, God forbid, and of the people who didn't have, and of the travelers that needed a place to sleep, although not that they were poor, but maybe they didn't have enough somewhere to be. They wanted to have a hot cup of tea, to stop somewhere. I was always the address. I was always the first one that told everyone to come to me. I was able to see everyone, right? But when my life got coated with gold and silver, I became blind. And it's like a mirror. I can see only myself. Rebbe, forgive me. I will daven to Hashem that He should forgive me. I'm going to start opening my house to everyone again. Please don't take away the riches. I have done wrong. Hashem had tested me with poor life, and I withstand it. When Hashem tested me with wealth, I failed. And obviously, the Rebbe told him, it's good you're going to do teshuvah. I did not come to take away your money. I didn't come away. I wanted to make you aware of what you're doing wrong so you can do teshuvah. And this is what Chodesh Elul is all about, the month of Elul. We have 30 days. Today is already the 14th. We have about 15 days. I do get goosebumps. Wow. Do we feel Hashem's presence every day? Hopefully we still read the Tehillim, chapter 27, the David Hashem, for Hashem is my Ori, my light, my salvation, and so on. We read more Tehillim, whether you do every day the 3 chapters, or you just read extra Tehillim. We try not to hold grudges. We try to feel the 13 attributes of mercy. We still have a little bit of time. We want to do teshuvah like that man. And why did we choose today to speak about facing yourself? In many ways. Here, I shared with you a story that I remember from youth, and I like to think about it many times. At times, we need a reminder that we have to look through the window. We have to look through plain glass and see someone else, and not through a mirror when we see ourselves. And then we can do so many good things. But there are times that we learn from ourselves. The Baal Shem Tov teaches us that everything that we see and that we hear, we have to learn from it, but also it's a reflection of ourselves. If not, we simply wouldn't see it. What I'm trying to say is that the phenomenal part of a merciful way that Hashem has given us is lessons in life. Most of us, I'll give an example, be easier to understand, we have a difficult time to hear of some atrocity, of something very bad, or something very sad that somebody was able to do, because we cannot imagine doing it ourselves. Unfortunately, a very, very sad reality that our nation had suffered, our great-grandparents, our parents, many also, during World War II, during the Holocaust, the Jewish people had such a hard time believing that people can do such terrible things. And I remember my father, Zozan Gesund, may he be well for many long years, he shared, many years ago, that I think one of his aunties, or maybe from the mother or from the father, I don't remember, when they heard about the war, they were at the time in Kharkov, they heard that the war is happening and this, and we know people didn't believe. They said, the Germans, they're so educated, they're so intelligent, they're so smart, they're so, very live with the times and so on. And how can they do such terrible things? It cannot be. It's just silly things people are saying. It cannot be. They would not ever burn people alive, kill people, do that to kids. I mean, it can't be. And that's why people did not run away. Because us as Yiddish people, we have so much Rahmanis, we have so much mercy, the way we are created in our DNA. And any normal human being, and any Yiddish human being would never fathom that somebody can do something so cruel. So they couldn't think that somebody would do it. And I remember my father telling us that some of his great aunts or so on, they said it can't be. And my Zayda said, no, let's run away, Zayda. And some other one said, let's run away. What? Run away, leave everything behind? How can you do it? I'm telling you, it cannot be. They will come to Russia, but they're not bad people. They won't go after us. They won't do anything. And unfortunately, sadly to say, that those families did not run away on time, and they perished. And my Zayda and Boba, thank goodness, ran away. They had a very hard life running away, had no food. I think I shared with you at times they were starving, but they survived. They ran away without nothing, with a suitcase, with a few things in the hands, and slept on the streets and so on, until they came to very far. So they came to Uzbekistan, all the way from Kharkov, because that was very much in the south, and the Nazis didn't get there, and thank goodness never got there in the end. and then they lost the war, and they were saved, but they couldn't even fathom that because we would never do anything, God forbid, like that. So we couldn't even face it. How can somebody see it? So we recognize many times something negative in someone because we have that negative thing as well. We see a flaw in someone, we say, how terrible. How were you able to do that? But if we really are honest to ourselves, the reason we saw it, we understood it, is because I won't say that we do it, but we can understand it. We maybe could have done it, or we can be in that level, God forbid, to listen to our evil inclination and do it. Or maybe we are on that level as well at times, but it's always easier, right, to see the flaw in someone else and in yourself. It's very hard to face yourself. It's very hard to look at yourself and say, how was I able to say it? How was I able to do it? But when somebody else does it, you see it. And that's a normal thing, because when I raise my voice and I raise my voice and someone, God forbid, at a child, at a spouse, at a friend, which is wrong, many times I don't hear it because I'm so angry. And it's normal. We are not tzaddikim. We are not righteous people. We try. We have to get better. And that's what, our class is about. Usually family conversation, we always try whatever we learn to become better people. Yeah, you can see. Very good, Cheryl. That's true. But if somebody else will say, well, you do it as well, in the first moment you'll say no, but then at times you'll think, 1 minute, that lady is yelling at her child, or that lady is like speaking like this, or the man, whatever, I'm saying the lady because we're women. And then sometimes you think, 1 minute, did I hear myself? Did I ever do it too? And you see how terrible it is because many things we do. And one of the things to do in Elul, facing yourself at times when we hear or we see things that are not good, that are not pleasant, that are not right. Thank you. We have to see, how can I correct it? Do I have it as well? Maybe I should try to see if I have a little bit of that not good things in me. But now let's look in the positive way. So when we see something negative, we recognize it. Usually it's because we have a little bit in it. I don't want to say the full way, but a little bit in it. That's what we recognize it. And we want to try to face ourselves and say, right, I'm not as, don't like to use the word evil, but I'm not as bad perhaps as that person is, but I do have it a little bit in me. And because who I am, I'm a Jewish woman, I'm a parent, a grandparent, I'm a this, I'm a friend, I have so many things. Maybe I should have, know better. Maybe I should do a little bit better, even though I don't sound as bad as they do. But, it's just you and yourself. The same thing, we recognize positive characteristics in others because we have it in ourselves. And if we don't have it in ourselves, it's harder for us to recognize it. I would like to share something with you, which I was bothered with when we just moved here. We had, it goes back, 1988, 89. I was a young girl. And we had guests, I remember, from the Russian community. I'm not putting anybody from Russia out. I'm from Russia myself, but I don't have that mentality because I left when I was a 7-year-old, so I didn't live in it. And then I lived in Israel. But I can understand because I hear stories from my parents and stories from other fellow people that live there, from Hasidim that live there, and how life was hard. What I mean, how life was hard, that it was very difficult to survive. So the only way people were able to, in many ways, able to survive, they couldn't say the truth, unfortunately. They always had to hide. They always had to, because they were never able to trust anyone else, because the government was so evil and was so bad and was so wrong that they would inform people, they would punish people for nothing. So people never knew what to say, what not to say. And I think I did share with you that we had an undergrad yeshiva at our home. My Zayda had also an undergrad yeshiva in his house. And when we opened up ours, I guess it was after my Zayda, my father told me, I don't remember. I remember we had boys in the home. not my brothers, others. And my brother was very little when we left. The oldest one was in the yeshiva, he was 15, but the other one was 3 years old. And the younger brother was born already in Israel. We didn't tell my grandpa, my Zayda, and I told my father, why didn't you tell Zayda? Like we spoke about it many years later, probably in Los Angeles. And he said, because the idea was, first of all, if somebody gets arrested and they're put to test, and many people just couldn't hold the pressure, they would torture people so much that people would lose their mind sometimes, God forbid, and they would just say what they knew. So the idea was, if you don't know something, you will not know to say it. So he said, I didn't want Zayda to know that if God forbid they arrest him, he shouldn't know. On the other hand, he didn't want my Zayda to worry. And one time Zayda walked in, I think 6 months after we had it, we had the yeshiva, and he saw a teenager go by, like run in the house to a side room that they would learn. And he knew him, it wasn't my brother. He right away understood. And he said, oh, Hashem should save you. Hashem should protect you. You should be able to continue doing what you're doing. So life was hard, and people wouldn't do, and black market and all that stuff was just, I remember I went to Russia, how many years ago? 2005, maybe, or 2004. No, 2004, because I was pregnant with Avram. Avram was born 2003, maybe 2004. Went to was a big convention, and I went to Rabbi Lazar, the chief rabbi of Russia, organized it, and I went with a lady from Toronto. She left Russia many years. She was an adult when she left, not like me as a child. And we were speaking, and she told me that her father was shot to death. Why? In Russia, because they found either a father or uncle, he had a $20 bill, a US $20 bill. Because over there, they would check you all the time. Like you go those years with Stalin, you always had to have your passport or your working visa or something you're allowed to be in that town, because you weren't allowed to be everywhere. Like it was terrible manipulation, terrible. And they just decided he was a Jew. They decided to check him, to go through everything what he had, and he had in the pocket $20 bill that he got from, I don't know how he got it, and they said, because you weren't allowed to have any foreign money. So for $20, unfortunately, he lost his life. It was terrible. So people would always hide, and many people didn't understand, because life was hard. They would always do something in order to get something from it, to gain. Well, I'll do this for you if you'll give me this money. I'll do this if you'll give me a piece of bread for my kids. Unfortunately, things were like, so people didn't understand. The frum people did, the religious people, because we knew you do a mitzvah. You do things even though nobody pays you back. You don't do just things for somebody to pay you back. You do things because it's a mitzvah to do, because it's nice to be a good person. So I would have, like all of us, you invite people for Shabbos to your house. And I would have people from the Russian community in my house. And some of them were like newly immigrated. And they asked me once, they said, "We invite us?" They said, "Oh, do we have to pay?" And I said, "No, do we have to bring something?" Well, I don't tell people to bring. If you want to bring, you bring. But, it's nice. If somebody invites you, bring something. But I said, you don't have to. And then some of them were open with me. I guess they felt comfortable because they were much older and I was much younger. And I guess they had a very much Russian mentality in them because of what they went through in there. They said, so why are you inviting us? Is somebody paying you for it? Are you gaining like any monetary thing from it? Like, why would you do that? And I remember I was like shocked. Like, why would somebody ask me that? And then I said, let me try to put myself in their shoes. And I said, where they came from, usually people didn't do something to someone else unless they would gain from it. So I do this for you, so you do this for me, because life was so hard. And they couldn't understand that I would invite them for Shabbat to our home just for them to see the beauty of Shabbos, the light of Shabbos, to be friendly with them, to do chesed, to do kindness, to make them feel good, and later on, when people live in the country long enough, they realize that so many people volunteer and so many people do good things, Jewish people, not Jewish people, just because they want to help. So many people volunteer. They work sometimes, some of the time they volunteer to cook, to clean, to whatever. In many organizations, Jewish, not Jewish, in all of it, and it's nice. But some of those people told me later, like, it took them a while to understand why people volunteer, why people do this, and like it's so nice that people are just nice from the goodness of their heart. Because unfortunately, for so many years, for 70 years of communism, it was so hard, and people were always tricking each other in this, and people that were kind, and they would get arrested and this. So people were afraid. People didn't know. They would get somebody to their house, and they were informers. They would later go and tell on them, and it was hard. There were people that we knew. Even with my father said, within the Jewish community, there were people that they knew that they would inform on them because they had a hard time to overcome, because the government would give them money, the KGB or whatever, and they were afraid to be with them, because many times they would come to a party, and then after that party, so many people would be arrested, so many people, like, they tried to keep away from them. It was hard. But then if they would say, oh, I want to come to you, and you would say no, they would say, oh, why don't you want me to come? I probably have something in your house. So they would tell the government, whatever. It was unfortunately hard. Why did I bring this example? That at times when somebody is doing a mitzvah, when somebody is doing something positive, something special, we have a hard time relating to it because we can't fathom that we can do it, that we would be able to do it. So we want to face ourselves in two things. In one thing is when we see negative things in someone else and we judge them. How come they're doing this? How come? We have to remember, wow, because I see it in someone else, I can understand it. So I have to see if I have it in a minute way. And God forbid if we see something terrible, but we usually, I mean, we see atrocities sometimes. I mean, we saw what happened, like I said, with the Holocaust, what we couldn't believe. Before that happened, we couldn't even believe if we hear something can happen. With month of Elul, we want to see it also in the positive way, in the spiritual way, in the godly way. At times you hear, what? Somebody walked a few hours on Shabbos to a hospital to visit someone, and they didn't drive, and it was a hot day. Obviously, if it was a matter of life and death, not that they're allowed to drive, they would have to drive because they have to save a life. But it wasn't a matter of saving a life. It was a matter of visiting someone. It was a matter of making someone feel good. It was a matter of me feeling comfortable to know that that person is okay. So at times people say, are you crazy? You're going to walk 2 hours in the heat? But somebody who understands the holiness of Shabbos, I don't know if I can understand somebody who understands, because we all don't understand 100%, but we try. But somebody who tries to keep Shabbos, will try and really works towards it and wishes they can do Shabbos 100%, but they try as much as they can. They can say, you know what, I probably wouldn't be able to do it, but you admire, say, wow, you walked for so long in the heat because you wanted to keep Shabbos. That's amazing. If we were around very holy people, very real people, very special people, tzaddikim, you melt. I think I did mention to you a few times when I don't know how many times, not enough times, but times that I would stand by the Rebbe, and the Rebbe would give $1, the Rebbe would give lekach, the Rebbe would give a blessing, the Rebbe would bless, the women, the men, whoever was there. It was such a feeling of awe, such a feeling of wow, like you felt the Kedusha, you felt the holiness, obviously, and you feel like you don't want to do anything wrong, never. You just want to be good because you get so close to Hashem, because a tzaddik is so close to Hashem. We're all close. We all have a piece of Hashem in us, but the piece of Hashem in us is very covered. It's like a diamond that a jeweler lost, whatever, someone lost a diamond. God forbid we shouldn't lose, but you know what I mean. I fell on the floor. Nobody knew it was a diamond, and it fell. The diamond was there, and more dirt around, more dirt around, more dirt around it, and it became a big rock. Nobody knows anymore that it's a diamond. If somebody knows, if somebody goes to dig, if somebody knows how to dig and find diamonds in the earth, they might say, wow, this rock, they have those laser technology or whatever it is, if there is such a technology, perhaps, this rock contains a diamond. You have to clean, you have to take one layer and another layer and another layer and another layer. It might take a lot of work, but then the diamond is found. You shine it, you polish it, you clean it, you have a diamond again. And that's what the Baal Shem Tov used that analogy. The Rebbe, all the tzaddikim that loved every Yid as themselves, they said every Yid is a diamond. But some Yidden, and we know that, girls, right? Some people, it's so sad. We don't see any diamond in them. We can't see, only a tzaddik can see, because they're covered so many layers with dirt, and not physical dirt. They can look very beautiful physically, but their neshama, their soul, they don't share, they don't give tzedakah, they don't do mitzvot, they're selfish, they do everything wrong. I don't have to go on and on. We all know how many wrong things a person can do. And the diamond is so covered. And this is our job, to uncover, to polish our diamond. Thank goodness we don't have so many covers on it. We still have obviously layers because we are not as righteous as can be, but we can be more righteous. We have to uncover. And then we'll be able to appreciate holy people more, to appreciate a mitzvah more. Somebody is saying, at times, it's a hot day. You stand in Yerushalayim, you stand in New York, you stand in Calgary. You're wearing a sheitel, you're wearing a long shirt, a long dress. It can be hot. And, obviously you try to wear a light color and everything should be good. And instead of saying, oh, how crazy, why they do that? They should just wear a tank top and shorts. Well, I don't know if a tank top or short is really much cooler. First of all, it's not healthy because of the sun. When you are covered, it's healthier. You're protected from the rays of the sun. And wear mugs. I don't know if you're less hot. If you're wearing cotton, then you're cool. But we're just used to, we think if it's cold, if it's hot, you have to be all uncovered. And this person is covered. So if we can understand and appreciate the mitzvah of being modest, the mitzvah of tzniut, you might say, wow, this person is a little bit hot. They're going to go soon to a cold car, to a cool car, to a cool building. But right now they're outside, they're walking, and they're hot. So they're hot for an hour, they're hot but they're protecting their body. They're protecting their neshama. They are dressed the way Hashem wants them to dress. But if somebody doesn't understand at all the mitzvah, the idea of tzniut, the idea of modesty, they would think like these people are crazy. Why are they wearing, why are they dressed the way they dress, even though it's a hot day? Let's take another mitzvah that is easier for us also to identify ourselves. The mitzvah of lighting Shabbos candles. We are coming into now in the era of winter. I'm looking outside. It's dark, girls. It's already beyond candle lighting. It's only 8:37. I remember, I think probably 3 weeks ago, it was still light at 9:30. I mean, it's already night. Soon Shabbos is going to start coming in at 6 and at 5 and at 4. It's hard. And in order to come home from work, those of us who work in offices that not at home, that we're not our own bosses, it's not easy to leave work early. And some people would offer to work late hours on a Thursday, on a Wednesday. They do different negotiations with their boss, with their workplace in order to leave early for Shabbos. If you understand this, you would appreciate when you hear, wow, what? You are staying longer? What? You took a Sunday shift in order you should be able to come home to light candles? That's crazy. I can't understand that. Because that person is so far from that spiritual level. But all of us here, I know, we would understand, we would appreciate it. If you would hear my friend is doing it, you say, wow, that's great. I should learn from her. I should try to see what I can do. Well, maybe I don't even work in an office that cares. I can leave early, or I go shopping, or I have so much freedom and I don't try to light candles sometimes on time, God forbid. A holiness is also a degree to be able to understand, to feel, to appreciate. So I'm looking here and thinking of things that we want to think about ourselves. Are we cynical many times, and I know we are, about the holiness of other people? Instead of appreciating what they do, we're saying they're fanatic. Do we see the goodness of other people around ourselves? And do we see the goodness that people do around us and that Hashem does to us? I know we do, and let's see more. And one more thing that I wanted to finish the class with on Sunday night and Monday is the 18th of Elul. The 18th of Elul is 18 is Chai, right? 18, Chai Elul. Sorry, Chai Elul is the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov, is the birthday of the Alter Rebbe, is the birthday, is the anniversary day that the Achia Shilonia, a big prophet that passed away thousands of years ago, appeared himself for the first time to the Baal Shem Tov. There were many, many special things happened, holy special things, mystical things with Kabbalah, with Chassidus. And Chai Elul is a very special day. And the Rebbe says that Chai Elul, the 18th of Elul, brings Chai, Hayud, brings happiness, brings liveliness in Elul. Every day of Elul we do tshuva. From Chai Elul, it's a little bit, we're becoming closer to Rosh Hashanah. We have only 12 days, not yet, now we have a little bit more. But from Chai Elul, from Monday, we have 12 days till Rosh Hashanah. And from Chai Elul, the Rebbe says that we should do Teshuvah 12, taking consideration the 12 months of the year. So the Chai Elul, the 18th of Elul, we did Teshuvah for the month of Tisha of last year, whatever we had missed. The 19th of Elul is for Cheshvan, Kislev. Each month of the year, we have to try to do a little bit accounting of the soul and think, what do I have done wrong? If I remember, if I don't remember, and think how better can I do it this year and so on. It just makes it a little bit easier. We do every day for a month. Whatever it takes, girls, each one knows their life. I just want to tell myself first, because we always have to tell ourselves, because we have to learn how to see, as we said, facing yourself, see ourselves before we open our mouth. Keeping it as we learned in COVID, we have to think before we open our mouth. Before I open my mouth to say something to someone else, let me think. Should I say it to myself first? Do I have the same flaw in me too? And most of the time we do. So then when we're going to say it to our friend, we're going to say it in a different way. We're going to say it in a loving way, not in a way like, how dare you did it, or whatever it is, in a loving way. Mm-hmm. To our children, to our spouses, to our friends. I like to think in all ways, and to our parents. I mean, parents obviously never allowed to tell off, but sometimes we want to say something, not to tell them off, but to make it better. I know I want to tell my father to take his vitamins. I want to tell my father to rest. I want to tell, so it's good things for him. And I don't take all of it. So we have to say to them, no, you've got to do it. No, in a nice way. It's going to be better. It's going to be this. You know what I mean? It's to parents, obviously, we have to have a lot of respect. We have to be very careful what we say, how we say. It's one of the 10 commandments. It's a mitzvah that is not easy to do. I think, honestly, that every generation, we know that every generation has different tests. And I think that in a way, our generation and the third generation before, obviously, we all have the same 10 commandments, but I think perhaps for us, it was hard as well. But the things that our kids tell us, I don't think we would ever fathom, right? To say it, they agree with me, Ali, to say to our parents, never. And if we wanted to say something, I can't even say to tell off, I would say something that I don't appreciate, something, so I would have to think to say, no, better don't tell, I don't like this, or I cannot eat it, or like in an apologetic way, like so many sorries before we would open our mouth to say something to our parents. And now, kids are not, never mind, they tell you straight off, you're wrong, you did this, what did you say, and etc., etc. And the grandkids, for sure, so comfortable with us. We sit with them on the floor, we play with them, we want them to feel comfortable with us. But I think that respect that we had to parents, or that, grandparents and so on, it's different now. It's just a different test. that people have now. Every generation has a test. So what I'm saying is, we all hear things, we see things. Let's try to do the best we can. And Chai Elul should bring us a lot of liveliness, a lot of thing in Elul. And I do want to say that Chai Elul, 7 years ago in 2016, was the date that we got the key, and I'm sure many of you will remember that we got the key to Chabad House campus, to the new campus. Baruch Hashem, yeah, thank you. It's a big mazel tov. We went through a lot. I'm sure all of you here, I would think you remember how the place was when we got it there. And I remember we went to a room, the way it looked, we were then in the downstairs, one of the classrooms, because the other places were full of stuff and smelled bad. And remember, it wasn't the two big rooms that we have open. It was like a little door there, whatever. We have pictures. Sometimes I look at it and go, oh. But we got the keys, we got in, we davened Mincha, if I remember, we said L'chaim, we brought some food. It was very special, Tov, Mazel Tov. And this, I want to bring it up because it's a special time, 7 years, how should I say, sabbatical, the Shemitah, 7-year cycle, and God willing, the next 7 years, then more and more, we should be able to build more and build really our dream to build a big hall, a big shul, a big center. We want to build a big, a whole floor, God willing, to as friendship circle people, I would say, to disabled adults that the parents are becoming elderly and they don't have a place for it to be because the parents cannot take care of them anymore. There's so many ideas that we have. We have permits to build up to 6 floors, but now we need the permits we have from the city. Now we need the big miracle. We need the geld, the money. And what is it for Hashem? $1 million or 50 million or 60 million? Or ever we got such quotes to be able to build that, we need a lot. That Hashem, God willing, we should daven that Hashem should give our community the means that we should be able to build and be able to help so many more Yidden and thank Hashem for the 7 years that we had. We always have to think, and I think I mentioned it to you as well, that I've learned, and it says that when we thank Hashem, Hashem is going to give more. And the best example is with children and us. I think all of us on the chat here have children, and we know when a child comes and says, thanks, mommy, dinner was so good, you want to try next time on your own. You're going to want to try to do more, something yummier. The child really appreciates it, or your husband, or whoever, a friend that you invited over. But when you toil hard and work, or even if you didn't work and say, oh, tasted awful, or don't even say thank you for a gift for this, why should you want to give more? I mean, you will because you're a good person, but it doesn't give you, like, this person only complains. When the food is good, they don't say thank you. When it's too sour, too salty, then they complain. It's the same thing with Hashem. Hashem is our parent. Hashem is our father. Hashem is our mother. Let's always thank Hashem for all the good things that we have first. And then obviously we have to ask Hashem to give us more good and more good. But first we say, thank you, Hashem, for this. Thank you, Hashem, for this. Thank you, Hashem, for this. You become so happy. You become more grateful. And Hashem wants to give us more. And Hashem will give us more. As the Rebbe said, Hashem owes it to us. And we owe it to him to do mitzvot. And he owes it to us to give us Shana Tova Metuka, good Geben Shior. God willing, we'll see you again next week. Thank you. I must thank you, Gina, for last week, for doing the class last minute. I'm sorry we were out of town and I realized that I won't be able to. And I gave Eugenia maybe a half a day's notice, and really appreciate that. And Mazel Tov again on the Good Shabbos, and Mazel Tov on this big milestone in our community for the Chabad House. It's not obviously it's a Chabad House, it's all of our community, it's all very special. We should be grateful, and we should see each other soon, always on Simchas and happy occasions. And again, the Neshama of Risha should have an Aliyah, and we should only hear Simchas and happiness and health and prosperity and all of the good things in our eyes, as the Rebbe always said, in the good that is revealed to us, that we can appreciate the good, that we don't have to say, well, if it comes from heaven, obviously everything comes from heaven is good, that we should be able to say, Hashem, thank you. It's so good that even it's sweet to us. That's what we say, Shana Tova Umetuka. Why do we say a good year and sweet? Why sweet? Good is sweet, because nothing bad from heaven is not good. Everything is good. But we tell Hashem, give us a good year that should be sweet to us, that we should be able to say that it's sweet, that we should be able to appreciate it, that it shouldn't be a goodness that is hidden, only revealed goodness. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. And
Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.
thank you. I really enjoyed
Thanks. Thank
Hazak
you.
Baruch
our
Hu.
discussion today. Thank you.
Good
Now we enjoyed
Shabbos,
it well.
everyone.
Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Thank you.
Hazak Baruch Hu.